Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Northeast Recycling Council's last training in its DE&I series, Engaging with Diverse Communities. My name is Marianne Ray-Molador, and I'm the Assistant Director for NERC. I'd like to, before we begin, I'd like to thank our sponsors. Could you go to the next slide? We have ISRI, who sponsored the trainings, and then NWRA and Revolution, who sponsored NERC's work on DE&I. I'd also like to recognize the Planning Committee, the National Planning Committee, if you could go to the next slide, who worked with NERC to actually put together the content for the trainings and to identify the speakers. And here you have a list of some of those members. And now I'd like to introduce you to our trainers. We have Berenice Garcia Teles and Jose Luis Ramos. Berenice is the Energize Denver Equitable Implementation Administrator for the Office of Climate Change, Sustainability, and Resiliency for the City and County of Denver, where she implements equitable policies for the new Energize Denver Building Performance Ordinance. Prior to that, she managed the Sustainable Business Program at the City of Longmont and worked with the business community on implementing sustainable and DEI practices that led to the creation of the first equitable, sustainable business program in the country. Berenice also sits on the Latino Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. She is a Mexican native and received her master's degree in environmental engineering in Saudi Arabia. She also spent time in Turkey, Italy, and Norway, where she researched climate change. Jose Luis is a bilingual business specialist for the city of Fort Collins in Colorado. He supports Spanish-speaking small business owners and entrepreneurs to develop and grow their business. Formerly, he worked at the Padre River Public Library District after running his own business for over 10 years, where he experienced the different needs of small businesses and the challenges of being an entrepreneur in the United States. He is an engineer and has a BS in computer science from Cal Poly. I'll now turn it over to Berenice and Jose Luis.
Thank you, Marianne, and thank you everyone for being here with us. It's my pleasure, together with Jose Luis, to let you know more about what we do to engage with diverse community. And before going into the strategies, I would like to revise with you all a concept. We need to think of, when we talk about diversity, we need to think about frontline communities. These groups experience the first and the worst of the consequence of climate change and have been underrepresented and underserved throughout the years in this country. Includes to low and to medium income communities, communities of color, indigenous people, those who speak languages other than English at home, people with disabilities and chronic disease, older adults, young children, people coming out from jail, the LGBTQ community, refugees and immigrants, especially the undocumented. So we're going to share how we work with these communities and what are the best practices. Throughout the COVID crisis, it was an eye-opener for many communities, governments, organizations. And we realized that everything is interconnected, that there were inequitable access to resources. How fragile are our supply chains? We saw that there was a packing meat company in one of the cities here in Colorado, and when one of the employers got COVID, everyone got COVID and they had to shut down the plant. So all the prices for meat, chicken increased, affecting local restaurants. So everything is interconnected, inequitable access to resources, and fragile supply chains. Also disparities from frontline communities. And I know, Jose Luis, you want to add a special experience about this.
Yeah, one of the things that we discovered during the time that we were working with these communities we found out that the disparities for these people that didn't have the access to or the luxury to stay at home. They didn't have. They were frontline workers. They had to go to work. They didn't have access to information. They didn't have time to get that information. They were always behind. Vaccination was available. They couldn't get access to that vaccination. But there were so many disparities during this time for this community that there was emergency all over the place, and they had to learn how to survive that. So that's where we can see these examples on those during that time was exploded like crazy for us. So.
Exactly, Jose Luis. And these communities, they are the essential workers. They kept running the economy, cleaning houses, preparing food in restaurants. So they, as Jose Luis mentioned, they didn't have the luxury to be working at home from their computer. And also we saw a lot of sustainability setbacks due to the public health ordinance, where we have to change our gloves, our masks. So many people had to do this because of safety. And everything gets worse with climate change. And we saw it in the fires in Colorado. So we need to be ready, and we need to start engaging these communities to teach them and educate them about these issues. In my experience, COVID offered an opportunity to bring the sustainability concept to the small businesses, especially the underrepresented, because if you apply sustainability measures like saving energy, saving gas, you lower your utility bills. And in COVID, we were in a crisis. If you can save some money on utility bills, you can use that money to invest on inventory or pay the rent. And we ask different participants how they engage their community. And we see that many of them are doing like social media events, outreach, community events, mailing, and that is good. It's a good start, but it's not enough. We really need to apply the equity formula. And especially if we want to engage this diverse community. And the equity formula is working with community-based organizations, in my case, for small businesses, like economic development organizations such as chambers of commerce, workforce development, etc. Also identifying who are your community leaders. Work with the programs who wants to implement this programming, in this case, the utilities, and us working in the sustainability sector. And I have a video to play for you here about this equity formula example.
Building a sustainable community is more than caring for our environment.
It's about making you, your family, and your business stronger by giving everyone a chance to participate.
Left Hand Brewing Company has joined other businesses in Longmont to work toward a common goal, and we are ready to share the next step.
By building on these three essential pillars: environmental sustainability, social sustainability, and economic sustainability.
Todos podemos involucrarnos y poner un granito de arena, apoyarnos y ser triunfadores en este programa.
Help the company you work for take the first step
by learning more about the Longmont vision for sustainability and see the free resources available to make it happen. Together, we can thrive
today and tomorrow.
Tener un mejor futuro para todos.
As you can see here, in Longmont, we were able to work with the Latino Chamber of Commerce, the SUMA organization that works with the community, use some of the rebates from the Platte River Power Authority, and work with the Sustainability Office in Longmont. But it was not easy. So some of the strategies on how to do it are as follows. We need to use the target universalism. This means we need to help the people who needed the most help at the beginning, and then helping others gets easier. And you need to have this clear in your mind. It's not easy. Our offices, sustainability, recycling offices, need to do the hard work. And you need to find your cultural broker, your champion, because this person understands the government systems, but also not only speaks the language of the community, but also resonates with the culture. In this case, we can have a Jose Luis. He understood and understands right now the community needs of Fort Collins. But be aware to don't burn out the champion. The champion is not just a translator; it's a person who will help people navigate the processes. And if you can shadow the cultural broker. In my case, you can see my colleague Matt Hannon. Before, before he didn't know anything about the equity work, but he wanted to bring all these incentives and programming to a small businesses. So he started to shadow my work. And I told him, Matt, it's not easy. You really need to go above and beyond. And he did it. And now some Latino owners call him Mateo because he earned that trust. And I believe, Jose Luis, you want to mention something here.
Yeah, one of the things that we did too in the city of Fort Collins was we had to go to many businesses in person, come into their doors, bring something to offer them, and you don't ask immediately, we need this for you. You have to build the relationship first. You come into their doors, you talk to them, and then you have to come again and come again until you build that trust so that they can trust you. And by the time that they trust you, it's so simple to get both ways communications. You can talk to them, ask them for something, provide them with resources, and it's an easy communication. Today, we use things like WhatsApp, which is very, a very common application within the Latino community. We have the groups, instant communication. So it takes time. And one of the things that I wanted to share with you is that recently I have the director of our organization come with me and shadow me after these examples that Berenice was talking about. I had the director of my organization to come and shadow me in a couple of visits, and it was so eye-opening for her that she is now so excited about it. And she said, "I think that everybody in this organization needs to shadow you and come and talk to these businesses because it's an eye-opener." So that's a really good experience.
Exactly. I mean, if you want to be an ally to these communities, you need to shadow and you need to immerse in experiences that can open your eyes, as Jose Luis mentioned. And you need to start with what is there already built, because community organizations, and especially if you have a community department in your organization, they have done equity work forever. They just didn't call it equity. So build on those strategies that economic or community partners are doing before even mentioning climate change or recycling. And once you build on these strategies, you build trust, as Jose Luis mentioned, they can start thinking on reflecting on the environmental footprint. And just remember, you need to assess and address their basic needs first. Like in COVID, for example, they needed loans, they needed grants, to pay the rent, to pay employees. So using these strategies, we were able to earn trust and then tell them, hey, there is a additional program that can help you to save money, and it's, energy savings. And start with a long-hang fruit, like changing your LED lights. And just an example of the work that we did in Longmont, we helped around 60 Latinx businesses in applying for local and county, state COVID relief grants and loans. And from all of those, 21 are Latino and Hispanic that became certified as a sustainable. But as Jose Luis said, it was once we built this trust. And also that since I have these pictures, you need to use marketing, and Jose Luis will talk more about it in future slides, that resonates with the community you want to serve. In this case, we use a wrestler, fighting COVID, because really it relates to the Latino culture. And before even you have to go door to door, make sure you have an infrastructure in place, an equity infrastructure that is internal. Translations are not enough. Having your programs in English and Spanish, in this case, is not enough. You need to make sure that your team members know that you're going to start working with these communities. So because as you see, you have your champion, your broker, but then you have to have these bilingual advisors that can help navigate your clients with contracts, with incentives, with applications, what we mean with utilities and energy savings. That is really important before even you go out to talk to people. And this was an example with the county sustainability office in Boulder County. Now they have 2 bilingual advisors, but they make sure that now they have an equitable infrastructure to deliver services, because we have great programs out there, but if we don't have a navigator who can help clients on how to access these rebates, these incentives, they won't see the benefit, and your equity work is not complete. And you need to meet the people where they are. If you send them an email or you send them a survey link, they won't reply because they are busy running their business. So you need to, and I know that Jose Luis and some of my colleagues did the same. They went, door to door, asking people, even if they were not Latinos. I just recently heard that Jose Luis were helping people from the Asian community. But because you go where you are, they appreciate that gesture, and they start believing on you and trusting you, and especially having meaningful conversations. And you need to be patient. It's not just checking the box, because people realize if you only want to get information from them and then say bye-bye. No, you need to have patience and have meaningful conversations, talk about family, about what is going there, the news, etc. So operas in my case. And as Jose Luis mentioned, be ready to use non-traditional communication channels, social media, WhatsApp, even text it at 7 p.m. because they are back from work, so they can check their phones and they can talk to you. So be flexible to have those conversations. And also something very important, especially for your team members, that adapting the system is not breaking the rules. You are just accommodating the system for these communities to participate, because in the past, the system was not flexible for them to participate. So let's have flexibility in our protocols and ask the community. I was sharing with a couple of team members that I was talking to community leaders that we were creating a flyer because we want, to empower them to co-create services and incentives. And they were saying, oh, we don't want to add a government logo. We don't feel comfortable because many people may not trust the event. So they told us to remove the logo. And I know sometimes, we have internal protocols that we need to put a logo, but maybe the first time, let's remove the logo. And once you build the trust with a community member, in our second meeting, you can add the logo, you can put government emails, just because we need to accommodate for them. As Jose Luis mentioned in the past, many people come from countries where they don't trust the government because there is corruption and other issues in their home countries. So that's why there is no trust. So by building this trust, in your next flyer, you may have these logos and these government emails. And another asset that I see it is you need to diversify your staff. If you want to have results and have a successful results on programming around sustainability in this case, you need to make the people making decisions looks like them. Because once they see that you are able to call the shots, they want you to succeed. They see you that you're a jefe, you're a leader. So they will participate, they will make sure that you look good. So we need more diversity at higher management levels to be able to provide and make decisions in the table. And another concept I wanted to provide is that people tend to box people of color in the low income communities. Yes, that is true. The majority of people of color belong to low income communities, but there are also a considerable part that belongs to medium to high income communities. I have colleagues that are African Americans, Latinos. They will love to ride electric cars, but they don't see marketing that relates to them. How many times we see a TV commercial ads, a black man riding a Tesla or a Chevrolet Bolt car? We don't see that. So we need to start creating those marketing strategies. And we see that Target, Walmart, Verizon, all other brands are doing that because they are seeing that the purchasing power of these communities, it's increasing. So in the sustainability, it shouldn't be different. And also, let's start talking about qualitative metrics. I know we need, numbers. Numbers are important to back up plan, to show to decision makers, but all the qualitative metrics they should count as well. Because I have like text messages, like emails that tells me, God bless you, thank you for bringing these programs. I was able to pay my rent and to lower my bills, all of that. So those are also metrics that we need to start taking into account in our reports. And after applying all of that, you build a safe platform for these communities to engage and access to resources, and then they can become resilient and successful for their future. So we need to lead with empathy. We need to lead with love to make them succeed. I have a quick case study in a taqueria here in Longmont that they have a huge energy bill, but after earning trust, helping them to apply for grants, I was able to bring for them incentives to reduce their utility bills by changing kitchen equipment, LED lighting, so they were able to cut in half their utility bill. We create marketing in English and in Spanish that resonates with them. And yeah, in 1 year, they were able to save a lot. And with that money, they were able to hire a new employee. So it's possible to do. And I have here my qualitative metric, one of the quote from the manager of that restaurant. And just talking about recycling opportunities, because I know that most of you belong to this audience, it's to start thinking, because many of these frontline communities, they live in multi-families because they cannot afford single houses yet. So you need to make sure how you can make accessible recycling composting in multi-family buildings, because they will love to do it, but the landlord or the current infrastructure doesn't allow that. And also use like cultural appropriate marketing. For example, in Mexico, we use a lot of, top yogurt, Tupperware to save food. We use already recycling bags. So use all these concepts that some communities already have to build on your recycling opportunities, and how recycling can help your clients' bottom line. If you can become creative on that, then you will have a successful program applying the infrastructure that we talk about. And also some people may say, but we don't have community members that that know all of these communities, but also know the technical concepts. Yes, you have the trash pickup drivers. They could be your next workforce, and especially in diversity. So why not building capacity building with them? And of course, you can also create equitable incentives. If you want them to stop using styrofoam, for example, why not creating an incentive for dishwasher where they can, wash their dishes there, and then they don't have the need to provide this styrofoam anymore. And of course, build knowledge with cultural brokers that I still believe are the trash pickup drivers community. And also search for internship with the economic development workforce, because sometimes we don't have resources. So the workforce they may have, and especially with all these new bills, they may have something related to green jobs, because recycling and composting are green jobs. And now I would like to give the floor to Jose Luis, who has more detailed information about marketing and outreach.
Yeah. Thank you, Berenice. One of the things that I am focusing on, I'm not an expert like Berenice is on sustainability. I work more in the economic health. I work for the economic health office, so my specialty is the economic side. I used to own a restaurant for more than 10 years, so I'm a software engineer. I have a rich background that helps me, and I belong to this community. So that is important, as she was saying before. It is important that your cultural brokers, your champions, the champions that you choose, you select them in a way that they look like the audience that you're trying to attract. Yeah, that they understand that audience, that they understand how to get to them. In my case, I was the only one starting to do this work in the Fort Collins area. So I was my job was to focus on all minority-owned businesses, and that is the reason why, as Berenice was talking about, I had to expand not only with Latinos, but I got into Middle Eastern restaurants and businesses. I went with Asian businesses, Nepalese, Indian, all kinds, and you can see the results. And I guess in my case, one of the things that one of the reasons why it worked is because we share a lot of the common family values. The Latino community with those those communities. So that was a connection point for us. We went through that process of making the connection first, as I mentioned before, which is really important. Okay, so what I'm going to be talking about now, it's the intentional marketing and outreach. So that is my specialty. You're trying to reach out to the community. How do you do that? Um, Thank you. Okay, so first of all, when you're trying to talk to them, you make sure that that you let them know by action, not by telling it. It's by action. Do you let them know that the message is for them? So all of your materials, everything that you're doing, you have to tailor it in a way that they understand that this message is directly focused on them. And to be able to do this, also you have to go to these 3 steps. First, the location. If you want to reach out to a community, make sure that you understand their neighborhoods. Make sure that the people that you have, the either culture brokers, champions, however, navigators, however you want to name them, send them to their neighborhoods so that they understand. They can go into those neighborhoods. They know where they are, and they can go and make connections there. If you're in a big city, it's important to have your outreach centers in a way that is easy for them to get to. So public transportation is important in a big city. So make sure that you have a real connection with the different lines so that it gets easy for them to get to you. In our case, for example, one of the examples that we use is that we are creating a new center for businesses and entrepreneurs, and we decided to do it at the library. Why? Because me working for government, it creates a small wall that I have to overcome before I can make that connection with them. Just to give you an example, sometimes when I go to visit a business at the beginning, when they didn't know about me, I was studying, I had to hide my badge. So they didn't know that I was representing the city at the beginning, because once they see you, I had an example is I have one person that thought that I was a city inspector when they saw my badge. So those are some of the things. So make sure that they feel comfortable coming to you. They don't want to come to government. So we decided to do it at the library, the local library. Everybody trusts that place. So we are providing services from the library. Another example of location is make sure that you are at their events. When you come to their events, ask the nonprofit organizations, ask the different foundations, when they have big events where the community that you're targeting, it's going to be there, make sure you get invited to those, because those are an incredible way of connecting with many, many people. You will be amazed to see how many people sign it for programs, sign it for help, for advice at those events. Right here, I have a small picture of the most recent event that we had. We had 27 nonprofit organizations that got together, provided this big resource fair, and I was there as part of representing the city. Berenice mentioned this before. We didn't put the logo of the city the first time when we went to this event, because that was going to deter some people from coming. But once we were there, they walk around, they saw me, and they, when they see a face that looks like them, they feel more comfortable. They started talking to me. I got many, many appointments from that event. The second step is the messaging and the technology that you're going to use. Don't assume that they're going to have everything that they need to be able to receive your information. So there is a lot of inequities and inequalities in terms of the digital gap. So there's people that have a computer, but that is not a common thing. A lot of people don't have computers. Most people will have a cell phone, yes, but there is a couple of neighborhoods here where after you go through half of the neighborhood, the end of that neighborhood do not have any reception for the cell phone. So you're posting things on the website, you're sending newsletter, they're never going to get to them. Now, when it comes down to businesses, it's even harder because people work all day and they don't have time to be checking email, to be checking newsletters, not any of that. So that's why it's important to have understand those issues so that you can adapt and try to find a way to reach out to them. Language justice. At the city of Fort Collins, we're trying really hard and changing things. When you're talking to them, make sure that you understand their language. You talk to the language. Don't use just the Google Translate. Don't use a regular translator. Hire a cultural translator, somebody that understands the culture where the message is going to, because, and they're not that expensive, because this person is gonna make the changes to the words so that people, it resonates to people, to your target audience. Find the community partners. There is a lot of those community partners that are going to help you to get that message out to them. As I mentioned before, on that event that we had, 27 nonprofit organizations were there. They know about us. So now that we started our business center, they're communicating that to their audience, which they work with within specific areas, mental health, food insecurities, different things that they do. They reach out most of the community. And finally, when you do the videos, images, and the different media that you use, make sure that you use, as Berenice talked about, models that are representing the community that you're reaching. That's part of the technology. At the last step that we have is for the outreach. We say it before, and she mentioned, I say that also, it's relationships. We need to get to them and get to the point where you talk to them at the personal level. You understand who, and if they just got married, you ask about, how's everything going? If they had a new kid, you ask them, how's your new kid? Things like that, so that you can build that relationship. Sometimes we get to talk about soap operas, as they talk about the last chapter of the soap opera. They're so excited about it. So I need to understand that that's going on so that I can build that relationship. But one example that I'm going to give you now is 2 days ago, I just pick up the phone to call somebody because I was going to ask them. We're working on a project, and I say, a business owner that has been in business for 30 years. I pick up the phone, I call him, 2 rings, he answered the phone, and the first thing that he says is, what do we need to do? Just like that. He didn't ask, anything. He knows that I'm calling. He knows that and he's immediately open to help me, get what we need to get done. So that's the kind of relationships that you need to build. You need to get to know them. They are loyal, and there is a lot of stories about them, very powerful stories about the migrant community, the different communities. So get to know them. That's important. That's how you do outreach. And also, the way that you work is you come, you show them, you say, okay, I have this opportunity for you. Bring a grant, bring an opportunity, bring a program that will do. Once you build that, of course, once you build the relationship, bring them something that they will benefit from it. If you do that, that's going to open the doors, and they're very, very loyal. And also, we're going to build the bridge so that they can be participating with you. You tell them about the resources, they use those resources, you learn from their experience, you know what you learn about their needs, and then you bring those needs back to the agency that you work for, and that's how you start the cycle. You build those bridges so that you can go back and forth. They'll do things for you. You bring things to them. So that's kind of a win-win situation. And at the end, it's important, very important, that if you come and you work with them, don't just say, okay, we're done here and forget about me. No, keep going there. Close the cycle. Show them that you have worked on your part, and show them the results. Okay, you told me you needed this. You told me that these are issues. This is what we have. We came up with this. Programs, anything that you do now, you have all this rich information coming into you. You're ready to go and start. Make sure that you bring those resources back to them, and that's gonna get you even higher on the level of trust. So, a couple of examples that I have here on the images. There is many of those things that are going on. Okay, the results. After we did all this work in Fort Collins, It's been almost 2 years now. COVID started. Now we're working. These are some of the results that we have seen. And this is only my office with, our team, very small. I'm the only specialist on that works on this kind of work, and the rest of the team supports me and getting all these things done. So very small team, and we were able to reach out more than 300 businesses during these last 2 years. We helped establish 63 new companies over the last 2 years. People that lost their jobs and they were desperate, they didn't know what to do. So they came to us, they learned about our work and our services, and we built that relationship with them. And now these 62 new companies, most of them are employing at least one person. And this is in 2 years. It was a really good result there. On the right side, we have what we call the community connectors. This is a community-based organization. And 26 women that got together, talked to us, and we helped them build the company. And what they do is they do outreach for us. So now it's not only me, but I have 26 people that live in those neighborhoods, and they work together, and they charge money to agencies that want to do their outreach. Nothing compared to a big, huge consultant, and it makes sense. They get these things done. An example that I have from their work is the city had a survey, and in 2 months, they only had 3 responses in Spanish. They decided to go and hire the community connectors. In 1 week, they had 300 responses in Spanish, just by them going into the community and talking to the people, and it was a huge success. On the bottom, we have the NOCO Latino Chamber. It's a group of businesses that struggled during pandemic, and they realized that they didn't get all the resources they needed it. They didn't get access to those resources because they were in silos. And now, because of that, they decided to get together, and they want to build their own organization so that they can be better prepared for another emergency. And finally, in the center, we have the Multicultural Business and Entrepreneur Center. That is the banner we're going to be using. We just started this 2 weeks ago on Monday. We are providing services off the library to entrepreneurs and businesses. And we have 4 sessions, 4 days of 4 hours. And we already had 6 people that came to us and are asking because they're learning about it. Even though we haven't advertised anything, they know we're there because the community members and the partners are spreading the word, and we are getting back all those businesses. So those are our success stories.
Thank you, Jose Luis. And yes, and be aware, once you help someone, they get benefits, they trust you, they become your friends, and really friends, because I was mentioning this movie, that there is an African American in jail, the Lincoln lawyer is called that. And there is a white lawyer who tells him, "Don't worry, amigo, friend, I will help you get out of jail." And the black man told him, it's like, "No, you are not my friend, because you don't come to my community events. Our children don't play together. So when you really mean it, you will have results like Jose Luis. Look at what he's produced in Fort Collins, and also he's opening doors for future generations." We have in our case one of our Latina students, she had some plans at the beginning, but after working with us, now she wants to be a lawyer. So by doing this, you can inspire the future generation that will be very diverse in this country. And just some main takeaways. COVID was an eye-opener and will help us, is going to force businesses to act in more resilient, more sustainability way. Sustainability officers, recycling departments can be assets to these communities. Partnerships are key, as Jose Luis mentioned, and find also these key ambassadors, like he has these promotoras that now they are getting paid for doing the outreach that not only the city, but different organizations have. And I always say, like, if we really spend sometimes dollars in consultants, why not doing it with these community experts? Because they are consultants as well. They are experts in the community, and diversify your staff. And remember, you don't have enough resources, Ask for your community partners, those nonprofit organizations, food pantries. They know the community that they can help you to start your program. And let's search for long-term solutions that not only help the bottom line, but can help us to build a better planet for our future generations. And I don't know if there is any questions, Marianne. Thank you very much.
Thank you both. Yes, there's several questions. If your organization is a state agency, are there ways to reach the communities throughout the state, or should you try to focus on specific communities first?
So I believe depends of the area. I will start with the statewide nonprofits or community-based organizations. But if there are like now there is a lot of census tract data that way you can assess which cities and counties you want to start first and reach out to those community-based organizations.
Yeah, I'll give you an example of what they did in Colorado. What they did, they used the state came up with these programs. So what they did is they first started with the network of the Small Business Development Centers network. They started to propagate that information there. Now, that is not enough because we don't, our communities, the underserved communities, do not get access to that network. So what they did, they started looking at different cities that had these champions, they had these brokers, and start, advertising this. We do have, as an example, in the northern Colorado area, we when COVID hit, we started to run these meetings where different organizations, institutions, educational got together so that we kept all that information here and work with the different non-profit organizations to make sure that information got to the population that we were trying to get in their language with their the different, all the information, complete information. So there is ways to do it.
And also they can start their human service department because the statewide organizations may have human service department.
So you all have mentioned the small business development centers, economic developers, and community development organizations as those people that you might reach out to if you yourself are not representative of the community that you're trying to work in. Are there other groups as well that you would reach out to?
I think that it will depend on the community you're trying to target. Okay. In my case, as I mentioned, in the northern Colorado area, we have more than 27 nonprofit organizations that work with the Latino community. And so, those are the organizations that we need to pass the message. And those are the ones that we need to work with. One thing that I like to mention here is that with this American Rescue Plan, there is a lot of money that is coming down, trickling down from the federal government into different cities and organizations. So there is a lot of ways now with this money coming in that you can leverage also that money plus the nonprofits so that you can push that message, those resources, and make sure that they get to the right people. One thing that the reason why the Latino Chamber of Commerce is getting created is because when this information came out about the loans and the grants and the federal money, only the people that were registered, businesses that were registered on the local Chamber of Commerce were able to access those funds and were able to get access to that. But the ones that didn't belong to that, they didn't even have a clue that money was coming in. So.
Yeah, exactly. In Boulder County, we saw experiences that all these frontline communities, they were getting information and resources from their nonprofits because they trust these organizations already. So I'm pretty sure there is a nonprofit in each single city in this country that frontline communities rely on. As I mentioned, food pantries, like in I don't know, maybe the homeless shelter, people with disability centers, the senior center as well. All these nonprofits that work with community, they are your best allies.
Yeah, and one last part of the puzzle, I will say, is the school district. Okay, the school district, everywhere they do have data, they have access to. In our case, in Northern Colorado, we have a school district that has community liaisons because those are the ones that are visiting the homes. So when we had a program, when we had something, all we had to do is work with the administrator of that program, and that information propagated uh, through that. If you build your trust with the community, you have your WhatsApp message, you have text messaging, all of those different options that you can access.
Can you talk a little bit, Jose Luis, about how you use WhatsApp?
Yes, the way that WhatsApp works, it's kind of an exclusive group messaging. So if I create I first you download the app. My recommendation is to download the business app. You download WhatsApp Business because that gives you more numbers. If you focus on this community, your numbers will grow like crazy. So uh, using that application, you download it into your phone. It's free, and you start, as you're meeting people, you start adding those people to your group. You ask them, would you like to belong to this group? And you bring them in. If you have a couple of people that you trust or you think are well networked around the community, you make them administrators or your group, and they keep adding more people, right? So once you have, let's say, 100 people in your WhatsApp group, and I do have groups like that I belong to. So all I have to do, if I have, there was a point in time when we gave away PPE equipment, right? Mask and all those things that we gave it away to businesses, a box full of different stuff for businesses. So all I had to do.
Jose Luis, your sound just went out. At least, can you still hear him, Berenice?
Okay.
Oh,
can you hear me?
Yes,
okay,
yes, I can now. Thank you.
Okay, so then with 100 people on my group, all I had to do is just one message, and I say, we have PPE available, please apply, here's the link. That's all I had to do, and all those 100 people received the message immediately. If they had questions, they posted on the group. I didn't have to answer those questions because the other 99 people were ready to answer, oh yeah, you have to go here, or you have to do this. At the same time, they got the message, and then each one of those belongs to a different group. So they send the information. In a matter of minutes, we had 400 people. The boxes just went away like that because it was like instant messaging, instant communication.
Sure. What were the biggest challenges that you faced with non-minority groups in power in the communities? And you're trying to work for better outreach to minority communities. Did you face barriers or setbacks as a result of people in power disagreeing or getting in the way of that happening?
In my case, yes, we found, there is always somebody that will go to the city council meetings saying, why are we doing this? Why are we focusing on these people? Why that? We're fortunate enough that the city has done a lot of work in terms of educating, the community in general. So there is a lot of support from the non-minority groups to help us go through this process. And the pandemic also exposed all those differences. And these are businesses that are paying their taxes and that deserve the services that the city provides. So it was, in a sense, easy to justify, but it's never, as simple as it sounds. So there is always, it depends on the community, I would say. Berenice.
Yeah, That's why as I mentioned during the presentation, when you apply this target universalism, you start helping the people who need it the most, in this case, frontline communities, then helping the non-minority or Anglo communities gets easier because they also have needs. They also need to pay a rent. They also need they lost employees. So helping them becomes easier because you can just send them emails, send them a survey link, talk on the phone in the morning. So I didn't face opposition from the public, from those groups. It was more internally from those administrating the incentives, the rebates, that you need to educate them about what is your work. As I mentioned to you, these flexible protocols that I was telling them, because they were I remember once they were trying to get a hold of one business owner, but he was not checking his emails and answering the calls. And I asked him, did you try to test the business owner? And they'd say no. It's like, and when this person texts the business owner, he reply. So it was just barriers for making them understand, because they say, but now let's accommodate this system to include these communities. And yeah, that's my biggest challenge I'm still facing, by the way.
Sure. Well, those are all the questions that we have. Did either of you have any last thoughts that you wanted to express?
Personally, I would really encourage you to, if you have a way to find that budget, okay, if you had the budget, invest. It's an incredible return on investment that you're gonna get. These communities are ready, they're loyal, and they are gonna be with you if you invest in them. So make sure that you make those connections and that you get these people on your side, and you will see 3 surveys back in 2 months versus 300 surveys back. They're already giving you all that knowledge, all that information. So invest on it, and you will see the results.
Exactly, and just find creative ways to you know to have recycling and compost, and these concepts address their basic needs, especially because many states are having legislations where the styrofoam will be banned and plastic bags. It's like creating incentives where these communities can participate and join the sustainability and recycling equation, because we care about climate change, we care about Mother Earth. It's just that we're busy addressing basic needs. So if we can have strategies like how recycling can help us address my basic needs, they will be on board. And then, as Jose Luis mentioned, they will become rock stars and they will be loyal.
Well, thank you so much for all of this valuable information. It's really, it certainly has been an eye-opener to me, learning from you both. And I thank you so much for sharing your knowledge about all of this. And I ask all of you who are listening to please fill out the survey about the training. And this recording will be on our website, available to you. And other than that, have a great rest of your day. Thank you.